Hey there. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. It genuinely means a lot to me. And if you end up subscribing, that would mean even more. So let's get into it. I'm Derek Callahan, 34 years old. Until about 6 months ago, I thought I was living the dream most guys only fantasize about. I was married to my high school sweetheart, living in a house I'd built with my own hands, and working hard to launch my own construction company. Melanie, my wife, 33, was sharp, confident, and effortlessly stunning. We both grew up in a quiet Missouri town. We'd been inseparable since junior year, fell in love fast, and after graduating college, we got married. It felt right, like destiny, like stability. I was a firm believer in loyalty, in putting down roots, in building something real. And for a long time, I thought that's exactly what we were doing. But the truth is, the cracks were already forming, long before I noticed, long before everything unraveled. And the most painful part? The person who helped her tear it all down was the very one I once swore to protect above everyone else, my sister, Emily. But the affair wasn't how it started. It began far more subtly. At first, it was little things. Melanie tossing in bed, saying she couldn't sleep. Shifts in our intimacy, small at first, then more noticeable. New behaviors. Unexpected suggestions that didn't feel playful. They felt like experiments. Initially, I thought she was just trying to keep things interesting. I played along, wanting her to feel seen and loved. But soon, her proposals began to feel more like demands than desires. Then one night, she sat me down and said she wanted to try something new. I assumed she meant something simple, maybe a prop, some light role play, but instead she met my eyes and asked, "What if we invited someone else to join us?" I laughed, thinking she was being cheeky, but she didn't crack a smile. She was dead serious. And then she clarified. She wasn't talking about another woman. She meant a man. "Just once," she said. I couldn't hide my shock. "Wait, you're suggesting a threesome? With another guy?" I asked. She just swirled her wine around and shrugged. "It's just a thought. If you're not into it, that's okay." But it wasn't okay. Because it wasn't about the act. It was about the motive behind it. I didn't scream or storm off. I just said no. But something shifted in her that night. She stopped laughing with the same lightness. Her smiles felt hollow. Still, I kept trying. I threw myself into work, pulling long shifts, saving as much as I could to invest in our future. I was on the verge of closing on a duplex to kickstart some rental income. Melanie had a remote HR job. Life was steady, peaceful even, but maybe too steady for her. That spring, we booked a vacation to Cancun, hoping to reconnect. But just 2 nights in, after a beachfront dinner, she brought up a couple she'd met at the pool bar. "They're in an open marriage," she said casually. "They invited us for drinks." I didn't say anything. I just stood up and walked away, heart pounding. That trip was supposed to bring us back together, not test the limits of what we could tolerate. Later that night in our hotel room, I asked her directly, "Are you trying to get me to say yes to something you already decided to do?" She rolled her eyes. "I just thought we could explore something different. I've told you, I'm not okay sharing my wife." She dropped the subject after that, and when we got home for a little while, things felt almost normal again, until Emily arrived. My sister's 3 years older. Wild, impulsive, and unapologetically all over the place, everything I'm not. She'd always bounced between cities, never settling. But she was blood. So when she called and said she needed somewhere to crash, I didn't think twice. Melanie was cool with it, had always liked her, maybe too much. They clicked over sarcasm, wine, and gossip. What I didn't realize was their bond went deeper than friendly chatter. They weren't just talking fashion or TV. They were analyzing me, my habits, my behavior, my role in the marriage. At first, I thought I was being paranoid, but then I came home from work one day, still covered in grime, and found the two of them curled up on the couch, whispering and laughing. The moment I stepped inside, the room fell quiet. 2 half-full wine glasses sat on the table. Their faces looked startled, the air suddenly thick. "What's so funny?" I asked. "Oh, just girl stuff," Melanie answered too quickly. I let it slide, or tried to. But that night, while we were watching TV, her phone buzzed. I glanced down. Emily's name lit up the screen, and I caught part of the message. "Glad you went for it. I bet you feel—" Melanie quickly picked up the phone, gave a strained smile, and turned it face down. "Everything good?" I asked. She nodded. "Yeah, just Emily being her usual self." But I couldn't let it go. I couldn't shake the look in her eyes or the fake laughter echoing in my head. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what. So I waited until she was asleep. Her breathing was slow even. I reached for her phone on the nightstand. I knew I shouldn't, but I had to know. What I found broke me. Not just her betrayal, but Emily's involvement too. They'd orchestrated it, discussed ways to wear me down, to frame it all as self-improvement, to make me feel like I was the problem. But Melanie hadn't waited for my approval. One message hit like a hammer. "I finally did it, and you were right. I feel amazing, no guilt, just free." Emily responded with a row of flame emojis and, "Told you, men are either clueless or boring. You deserve fireworks." I couldn't breathe. This wasn't a mistake, it was a calculated betrayal. Melanie had crossed a line and Emily had fueled the fire. That morning I never closed my eyes. I just lay there, watching her sleep, listening to the breathing of someone who now felt like a stranger. She woke up first, humming as she went about her morning like nothing had happened. I got up shortly after, my heart hammering in my chest. She stood in the kitchen, humming, pouring coffee, like it was just another ordinary day. "Morning," she said, not turning around. I didn't respond. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, just watching. Eventually, she turned and saw my face. Her smile dropped. "Derek?" she asked, voice trembling. "Why?" I said coldly. "Why did you cheat on me?" The coffee scoop slipped from her hand, landing with a soft thud. "I don't know what you mean," she whispered. "You do," I said, my voice like steel. "Don't act like you don't." Her eyes widened, panic flashing behind them like a warning light about to fail. "Don't bother lying," I said sharply, my voice slicing through the stillness. "I saw the messages, you and Emily. I know everything now." She went rigid. Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound emerged. Her hands trembled as she carefully set her coffee mug on the counter. For a moment, I braced myself for the usual denial, the gaslighting, the attempt to manipulate my perception. But she didn't go that route. Instead, she whispered, "Did Emily tell you?" Wrong move. The worst possible response. My hand slammed onto the counter, loud enough to make her recoil. "No," I said, jaw tight. "Emily didn't need to say a thing. I read it all myself. Every text where you called me dull, said our marriage was dead, bragged about how sleeping with someone else made you feel alive." Tears gathered in her eyes. "It wasn't like that with Derek." "Really?" I stepped closer. "Then explain what it was, because from where I stand, it looks like a betrayal you rehearsed. Methodical, merciless, and you dragged my own sister into it." That broke her. She buried her face in her hands. "I didn't plan any of this. I didn't mean to hurt you." "Cut the act," I said, voice rising. "Don't insult me with half-truths. You knew exactly what you were doing. Every lie, every message, you meant it. You just didn't think I'd ever find out." The silence that followed was jagged and heavy. Finally, she lifted her head, red-rimmed eyes meeting mine. I needed to feel something again. I thought if I could find that spark, I could bring it back to us. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "You thought cheating was a shortcut to love? That this was somehow for us?" She shook her head, defeated. I was lost. "No," I said coldly. "You were selfish." She didn't fight back. Just sat down at the table, head bowed, sobbing like the full weight of her choices had finally landed. I didn't yell again. Didn't break anything. I just stood there looking at the wreckage of a woman I once believed I'd grow old beside. "You're going to pack," I said, voice unnervingly calm, "and you're leaving this house today. I don't care where you go, but you're never walking back through that door again." She looked up, startled. You can't mean that. I mean every word, I said. I built this home. Every nail, every late night at the office, every sacrifice. I did it all for us. And you destroyed it for a fling? She cried harder. It was a mistake. No, I said flatly. It was a choice. And I turned and walked away. She packed in silence. No protests, no dramatic pleas for forgiveness, just quiet, the kind that follows a storm. When she left, she didn't even say goodbye. That night, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called Emily. She picked up quickly, her voice laced with fake cheer. Hey there, little bro. You told my wife to cheat on me, I said, monotone. Silence. What? She said, sounding suddenly unsure of herself. I read everything. Every tip you gave her, every sarcastic joke, every suggestion. You didn't just encourage her, you practically planned it with her. Derek, she whispered, I never thought she'd actually go through with it. You didn't think she'd burn our marriage to the ground? Or you just didn't give a damn? I'm sorry. No, you're not. I swear. I don't want to hear it, I said, cutting her off. Don't call, don't text, don't show up. As far as I'm concerned, you're gone. She was crying by then. Please, Derek, I didn't mean... I ended the call, blocked her number. Later, I sat alone in the quiet of what used to be our home, but now was mine. The laughter that once filled the walls had vanished, replaced by a smothering hush. And I started thinking about what came next. Revenge? Maybe, but not chaotic, not reckless, precise, icy, irreversible. The days after Melanie's departure blurred into a strange haze. Her side of the closet was half empty, her toothbrush gone, but the faint scent of her perfume still lingered like a ghost in the bathroom. I didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't break anything. I just continued. But under the numb surface, something colder was forming. I had given her a decade of loyalty, and she had thrown it away with the help of my sister. I wasn't going to vanish quietly, so I started documenting. Every message, every laughing emoji, every smug comment sent to Emily. I organized everything. File name, proof, triple backed up. I wasn't ready to release it yet, but when the time came, it would be exact, and it would be devastating. The divorce process began. I hired a lawyer who didn't just know the law, he wielded it like a blade. Thankfully, no kids. But there were assets, the savings account, the house, and the duplex I was on the verge of closing. Melanie assumed we'd split everything evenly. She miscalculated. At the first mediation, she walked in looking polished and composed. Cream blouse, rehearsed smile. She even tried being cordial. Derek, I just want this to be fair, she said. I didn't respond. Just passed the evidence folder to my lawyer, who slid it across the table to hers. 5 minutes later, she went pale. Panic set in. She realized what those messages meant. Adultery. And in Missouri, that still matters. Her attorney leaned in, whispered something. Her smile vanished. Everything shifted after that. My lawyer hit hard. No alimony. I kept the house. The duplex? In my name only. She walked away with her car, a cut of the savings, and a mountain of shame. She didn't fight it, not once. After the hearing, she caught me outside. Do we really have to be enemies? She asked softly. I looked at her. We stopped being partners the moment you pressed send. She opened her mouth, then thought better of it. I turned and walked away. That was just the beginning. Phase 2, her reputation. She had built a pristine image. Church volunteer, PTA favorite, the ever-smiling wife. So I let the truth speak. No insults, no public tantrums, just cold facts, screenshots, dates, all organized, sent to her family and her boss. One line, figured you should know what your daughter-niece employee was doing behind closed doors. The fallout was brutal. Her aunt called her a disgrace. Her father stayed silent. Her boss? Thank you for letting us know. I didn't drag her name through mud. I let the evidence do the talking. She called that night sobbing. Why would you do this? She asked, broken. I gave her 5 words. Choices carry their own price. She wept. I didn't hang up. I just let her drown in the silence she made. That was the start of her unraveling. and the spark of my rise, because I wasn't just going to survive this. I was going to rebuild, stronger than before. Right where she could see it, I poured every fragment of pain into rebuilding, not just my circumstances, but the entire direction of my life. And this time, I wasn't laying a foundation for us. I was building something solely for myself. I dove headfirst into work, picking up double shifts at a construction site until I earned a contract to oversee full projects. By the end of that same month, I closed on a duplex. My name alone was on the paperwork. No partner, no shared ownership, just me. While she was busy spinning the story to our mutual friends, bending the facts to protect her image, I was crouched on tile, my palms scraped raw, installing a new kitchen floor in the rental, transforming broken pieces and pressure into value. Word started getting around. She tried to lay low, painting herself as the wounded party to anyone willing to lend an ear. But the receipts, texts, screenshots were already making the rounds. The truth had started to speak for itself. Then, out of nowhere, she crossed a boundary, showed up in the middle of the workday, heels sinking into the loose gravel, arms folded like a memory that refused to stay buried. "Derek, can we talk?" I didn't look up. "You've got 2 minutes," I replied, continuing the task at hand. Her eyes welled up. "I never imagined it would come to this. I know I hurt you, but what you did, that was heartless. You sent those messages to my job. Do you even understand what that did to me?" I finally paused, sweat dripping down my brow, hands calloused and tired. "And how do you imagine betrayal feels?" She didn't respond. I kept my tone steady. "Let me ask you something. Did sleeping with someone else make you feel in control?" She faltered, swallowed hard. "I thought it might, but now I just feel hollow." "Good." I turned away, walking back toward the building, leaving her rooted in place, swallowed by dust and silence. A week later, I ran into someone at the hardware store, Daniel, who worked in HR with Melanie. Quiet guy, always polite. He recognized me instantly. "Hey, sorry about everything," he said softly. I gave him a nod. He leaned in a bit. "We saw some of the messages, words circulating. She's not coming back next semester." I raised an eyebrow. "She's getting let go?" He nodded. "What she did doesn't reflect who we are. And from what I hear, you weren't the first person she did this to." I left that store with more than supplies. I walked out with something I hadn't felt in a long time. Justice. But Emily wasn't finished. She started calling again. I blocked her number, so she showed up at my place unannounced. She looked different, drawn out, worn down in a way she never used to let herself appear. "Derek, please, I know I screwed up, but I'm still your sister." "You were," I said coldly. "Now you're just the one who helped destroy my marriage like it was a game." Tears slipped down her face. "I didn't think it would go that far." "Yes, you did," I snapped. She wiped at her cheeks, voice trembling. "I'm broke. I lost my apartment. I don't have anyone else." "You should have considered that before you helped wreck the one person I trusted." Her voice broke. "So that's it? You're cutting me off completely?" I stepped in closer, locking eyes with her. "You cut me off the second you took her side, sat in my home and gave her the green light to cheat." I pulled a crumpled 20 from my wallet and held it out. "For a bus ticket, anywhere but here." She stood there shaking as I closed the door behind her. Time passed. First weeks, then months. Melanie stopped calling. Emily disappeared completely, and for the first time in 10 years, I began living for myself. No lingering guilt, no double-checking my instincts. The weight of betrayal had lifted. All that remained was action, and I had one last card to play. A final message. The one where Melanie confessed everything, admitted she felt liberated by what she'd done to me. I'd kept it to myself, never even shared it with her mom. Until I did. It was a calm Saturday morning. I dropped a screenshot in a group chat filled with her family and friends, people who hadn't picked a side. No explanation, no dramatics, just one sentence. "If you still think she's the victim, read this. Then decide if she's someone you'd want around." Some responded right away, others didn't reply at all. But the silence that followed? That was the closure I'd been waiting for. The next day, I got an email from Melanie. No subject line, just one paragraph. I know you hate me. I earned it. I think about what I did every single day. I don't know how to make it right. I'm not asking for forgiveness, but I am truly sorry. I didn't answer. She wasn't asking for a reply. She was searching for peace. But peace isn't a gift you ask for. It's something you earn. And some people give up the right to it. I kept moving forward. I signed 2 new contracts that made more in 4 months than I'd made the entire year before. And when I picked up the keys to my second rental property, I stood on the porch, alone, and smiled. Not because of the income, not because of the success, but because I was finally free. Free from games. Free from false loyalty. Just me, my path, and a future that didn't need to be shared with anyone who hadn't earned their place in it. One night, her profile popped up in my suggested accounts. I clicked. She'd changed her last name, changed her hair, looked thinner, faded. Her caption screamed forced positivity. New beginnings. Sometimes life has to break you before it builds you. But behind every curated photo, I could see it. She wasn't winning anymore. And Emily? Gone. Off every app. Like a ghost. No one in the family spoke her name again. My message had landed. Loyalty has conditions. If you betray me, you vanish. I don't crave revenge anymore. I've already gotten it. They lost me. And that was the real price. This is where the story ends. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. And if you connected with this story, check out the others on the channel. Until next time.